The thesis that I will present to you today deals with the topic of linguistic relativism, analyzing the point of view of those who support and those who criticize it, and the way this has been represented in both literature and cinema. When traveling, it is possible to see many cultural differences that are very often due to the different way of thinking of the respective populations. According to the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, these changes are strongly influenced by the language spoken by individuals and, by extension, by a certain population whose cognitive development depends on linguistic elements. Many scholars, such as Humboldt, Boas, Sapir, Whorf, and Lucy, dedicated years of their lives to confirm this theory, giving language the role of voice of a people, thanks to which it is possible not only for human beings to interact, but also to perceive and understand the world around them. According to this theory, if a concept is not expressed through language, it cannot be understood by a person. Therefore, reality is influenced, and we might even say forged in a systematic way, by the language or languages we speak. Every single language becomes a lens through which the world around us may or may not appear in a certain way, with its own characteristics that may not be visible if we change lens, that is, language. Thanks to research on small language groups, such as the Hopi or other Native American tribes, it has been possible to find very marked differences in the way they think and behave on the basis of linguistic factors, confirming more and more the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. However, scholars such as Landenberg, Everett, and Pinker have expressed themselves on the subject after exhaustive research carried out in this field that did not confirm linguistic relativism, but rather refuted it. Landenberg accused Whorf of never having demonstrated any kind of connection between the linguistic phenomenon and the mental phenomenon. In fact, the causal relationship between linguistic and cognitive differences cannot be confirmed on the basis of the evidence provided by Whorf. Several studies conducted by Everett in the small Piraha community have in fact shown that despite the absence of specific words that refers to numbers, this ethnic group is still able to relate to concepts that have to do with quantity. Pinker also believes that language and thought are independent. According to his thesis, human beings do not even think in the language they speak, but in something called mentalese, a sort of universal meta-language. This would imply that language does not shape our thoughts at all. Therefore, a thought or a concept could exist in itself, but the person who formulated the thought might not be able to express it due to the lexicon or grammatical rules of the language they speak. Linguistic relativism has also fascinated many writers and screenwriters who wanted to include this concept in their works. Two of the best examples in literature are 1984 by George Orwell and The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, works in which language has been used as a real weapon by the tyrant government to control the population, influencing their way of thinking in order to better control and manipulate them. The language has been mutilated and reduced almost drastically by eliminating words considered dangerous or subversive, replacing them with words aimed at praising the regime. Another example is in the movie Arrival, released in 2016, where the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is used to explain the cognitive evolution of the young interpreter Louise Banks after learning a particular alien language that led her to perceive time in a completely different way. Despite the numerous studies carried out throughout history, there is no certain answer, and the debate on linguistic relativism is still open and continues to fascinate scholars and enthusiasts.